Hi there, this is CMA Nishanth Reghunath welcoming you to a new video lecture. In this lesson, we'll be learning about a very unique relief given by the Income Tax Act to the Assessees, and that relief falls under Section 89. So in this video, we'll be learning about everything that's related to Section 89. That is a particular relief given by Income Tax Act to certain categories of Assessees. So let's check what this is. Before going into this particular relief under Section 89, let me first summarize the complete process of computing tax on total income. So how do we find the tax liability on total income? At first we compute our total income, right? We compute our total income. Now how do we compute total income? We aggregate all the heads, apply clubbing provisions, apply set off and carry forward provisions, and then find the take off deductions under Section 80C to 80U, and that's how we find total income, right? So this is after all the heads, clubbing, carry forward, set off and deductions under Section 80C to 80U. So on total income we apply our basic tax rates. So base tax rates. Now this can be slab or flat depending upon the category of income and the kind or nature of assessees. So we apply the basic tax rate and find our basic tax liability. So we find our normal tax liability. On top of this, if eligible, we deduct rebate under Section 87A, right? We deduct rebate under Section 87A if applicable, right? If applicable, we deduct rebate under Section 87A. Now in case the assessee is not eligible for rebate under Section 87A, we ignore it. Then we check for surcharge, right? Whether the assessee has to pay surcharge. So this is an item of deduction, whereas surcharge is an item of addition. We find out if surcharge is payable by the assessee, find out the amount of surcharge payable and add it. And since the assessee is paying surcharge, if the assessee is paying surcharge, we find out marginal relief applicable. Marginal relief. If applicable, we deduct marginal relief, right? Now we get an amount over here, and on that amount we find cess at 4%, right? Yeah, yes, clear, right? So we first take our total income, compute our basic tax payable, and on the basic tax payable we see if that assessee is applicable for rebate, surcharge and margin relief. So all these three, if applicable, whereas basic tax rate and cess are compulsory items. So these two compulsory, these two compulsory. So that's how we find our tax liability, right? So these are the steps involved in computing tax liability. Now relief is a particular, relief under Section 89 is a particular relief which is given by the Income Tax Act to reduce this tax liability. So the computation does not end here. We find the total tax liability. From there, if applicable, we deduct relief under Section 89, and that's how we find the total tax liability. This is where we put the double underline. Understood? Pretty clear? Yes. Now this is just a basic introduction to this whole section and how this relief comes to play while computing total tax liability. Now let's see in detail what is relief under Section 89 and how do you compute this particular item. So now let's head to the detailed explanation of this particular relief that falls under Section 89. First and foremost, who are the assessees eligible for this relief? This relief is applicable for assessees who are charged for advance salary or arrears salary. So any assessee for whom advance salary or arrears salary becomes taxable. So the case of arrear salary will only be applied when this arrear salary was not taxed before. Say a particular previous year, so previous year 2021, assessee receives the previous year's salary of 3,50,000 and salary for the year 1920, an arrear for the period, say 1,50,000. So total of 5 lakhs is what he receives. Alright. Now in case this 1,50,000 wasn't taxed in 1920, it will definitely be taxed in the year of receipt, because we know salary is taxable when due or received, whichever is earlier. In case it's not taxed when due, it will fall taxable in the hands of the assessee for the previous year 2021. In that case, the assessee is eligible for 89 relief. But then if this was taxed, then no relief. Alright, clear? Fine. Next, or any item under section 17(3) profits in lieu of salary. So an assessee who is charged to tax for any item under section 17(3) profits in lieu of salary. So what is profits in lieu of salary? Profits in lieu of salary is nothing but a payment made by an employer to the employee in addition to their normal salary or wages. So what falls here? Things like terminal compensation, or I'll write it separately, profit in lieu of salary. This is under section 17(3). Now this includes, number 1, terminal compensation. Number two, payment from an unrecognized provident fund, or payment from an unrecognized superannuation fund. Unrecognized, that's key here. Number 3, any payment under Keyman insurance policy. This is an item of profit in lieu of salary. Then any amount due or received before joining or after cessation. So any amount due or received before joining, before joining or after cessation. Alright. Finally, 5, any other sum received by the employee from the employer. So any payment made by an employer to employee shall be brought under this category of profit in lieu of salary under section 17(3), if it's not brought under any other section, any other terminology. But then there are certain things which shall not be treated as profit in lieu of salary. Things like death cum retirement gratuity, not included. These are not included items. So I'll just erase this out, and hence I would suggest you to take down these items that I've mentioned here, give the heading 17(3) profit in lieu of salary, and take down these 5 items. Now I'm going to rub it out and explain what all are not included. So exclusions of 17(3). Whatever that falls under section 10(10), and that is death or retirement gratuity. Commuted value of pension. Commuted pension. Right? 3, retrenchment compensation. 4, payment from a statutory provident fund. Alright. 5. Payment from a recognized provident fund. Unrecognized would fall under profit in lieu of salary, whereas recognized wouldn't. Alright. Payment from an approved superannuation fund. Approved superannuation fund. Alright. Yeah. And finally, HRA. Okay, so in short, except for the terminal and other payments specifically exempted under sections 10 to 13A. This falls under section 10, 13A, yeah. So except for the terminal and other specific payments mentioned under clauses starting from 10 to 13A of section 10. So section 10 clause 10 to section 10 clause 13A. None of the payments received by an employee shall be regarded as profit in lieu of salary. Alright. Yeah, fine. So yes, that's item number 2. Item number 3. Leave encashment received during service continuation. In case an assessee receives leave encashment during service continuation, then he can take relief under section 89. But then if it's during termination, no, not available. Only during service continuation. Alright, only during service continuation. And finally, any family pension which is received in arrears. So an assessee who receives these items. Alright, so it's pretty evident this is all related to salary. Right? All related to salary. Yeah? So this particular section of 89 is only for salaried assessees. Yes? Not for anyone else. Only for salaried assessees. Right. So what's happening here? Assessee has a salary and receives an additional payment of the natures explained here. Yeah. So salary and an additional payment. Yeah. And because of this additional payment, assessee ends up paying more tax. And also at times assessee may even enter a higher tax rate slab. Say assessee's relevant previous year's salary is 9 lakhs. Assessee gets an advance salary. Advance of 4 lakhs. So the total salary now is 13 lakhs. Right. Now what has happened here? If not for this advance salary, assessee would have stayed under the slab of maximum slab of 20%. Right. 5 lakh to 10 lakh, 20% is the tax slab. Now because he crossed 10 lakhs, he or she will have to pay tax at a higher rate. So at times assessee may even enter a higher tax rate slab. A slab with higher tax rate. Alright. So this is an unfair position, right? Assessee being asked to pay tax rate for an additional payment he received. Legally or in general course of business, general nature of employment, he would have only received 9 lakhs, but then due to some additional payment, he ended up paying more tax. And at times he may fall under a bigger tax rate slab. Yeah? Yeah? So since assessee falls under a very unfair position, the Income Tax Act gave this relief under section 89 to assessee, wherein they said, now for this excess payment that you are making in respect of the advanced or the excess additional payment that you received, you will be given a relief. And for getting that relief, assessee has to make an application to the assessing officer, and assessing officer will go through the application, and if he is satisfied, he will grant it. Alright, that's what section 89 is. Relief applicable to assessees who are salaried. Alright, for employees. Now let's check the computation. The computation of relief is mentioned under Rule 21. And as per Rule 21, the computation of relief under section 89 falls in two parts. Part 1 for general items. General items of additional payment received. Part 2 if the additional payment received is gratuity. I told you while explaining profits in lieu of salary retirement gratuity or termination gratuity will not be included here. And we know gratuity is fully taxable when it is received during continuation of service. But when it's received at retirement or when it's received during termination, it gets its own exemption under its own sections. Yeah. But then when an assessee receives gratuity during service, it is fully taxable, right? Fully taxable. And if assessee is receiving gratuity during service, 89 relief is applicable. So by general items, what I mean is all the items listed here other than gratuity received during continuation of service. Alright. So when the assessee receives any of these general items that I have mentioned, that is all the items other than gratuity. So all the items here other than gratuity during service, the computation of relief is in a certain way. And when the assessee receives gratuity, the computation of relief is in a completely different way. So this is your part 1 computation table that you see right here. That is how to compute your relief under section 89 when the assessee receives an additional payment which is not gratuity during service. So all that you have to do is make computation with respect to 2 years, 2 or multiple years, to how many years this particular payment pertains to. So first, take your relevant previous year, your current previous year. Find tax payable on total income by including the additional payment and excluding the additional payment. So say your total income for this particular previous year 2021 is 9 lakhs. And you receive an advance salary or an arrear salary. Let it be arrear salary. Arrear for 1920 of 3 lakhs. Alright. So first you find tax on total income including additional salary. So for 9 plus 3 for 12 lakhs you find your tax payable. And by tax what I mean is tax plus surcharge less any marginal relief if applicable and plus cess. So tax less rebate under 87A if applicable, rebate under section 87A if applicable, add surcharge minus marginal relief if applicable and plus cess. So this is tax after cess, okay, including cess after the last stage. So compute it for 12 lakhs here. So here we've computed for 12 lakhs. Next we compute tax payable if we did not receive this additional salary. So we compute tax for 9 lakhs here. Alright. For tax on 9 lakhs and tax on 12 lakhs. Find out the excess. That is difference of this minus this. So if this is column A and this is column B, this will be A minus B. Alright. Fine. Yeah. Next, go to the previous year for which you received this advance payment. So in this example, we received it for 1920. So this is not supposed to be relevant previous year. This is supposed to be the previous year for the additional payment. So let's make it as APPY. So instead of RPY, I'm just slashing that on A small p PY. Additional payments previous year. Find the total income of that year. Say for 1920, our tax total income was 6 lakhs. Now, instead of 6 lakhs, let me just make this 4 lakhs. That would make more sense for this computation. Alright. So now what do we do is, take this 4 lakhs, add this area, add this additional payment that we received. And find tax on that. So first we find tax on 7 lakhs. So if you notice this particular column, this is salary plus additional payment. So at first year we had 9 plus additional payment of 3. And for the previous year for which we received this payment, we had 4 plus additional payment. Yeah. And next we find tax on just the salary. And here just the salary will amount to 4 lakhs. Yes. Clear? And find the excess. Of tax on column A and tax on column B. A minus B. And finally, your relief will be the difference between the excesses. That is, this, let this be excess 1 and let this be excess 2. So this will be excess 1 minus excess 2. And this should always be positive. Always be positive. If it is a negative figure, no relief. If it's a negative figure, no relief. Alright. So this has to be a positive figure in order to get relief. Understood? Yeah? Pretty clear, right? Simple stuff. Now once we find the relief, what we do is, we take the total tax payable for this particular previous year. Before that, let me just rub this out. Let me just rub this, whatever I've written over here. Let me just rub it out. Right. So what do we do is, after finding relief, is find tax on total income, including additional payment. So find tax on 9 plus 3, 12 lakhs. That is tax on 12 lakhs. Yeah. Tax payable. This is tax including cess. Alright. Tax after all the computation. Now from this, less relief under section 89. That is what you get over here. And that will be your tax liability. Understood? Pretty clear? Yes. So yeah, I'll quickly sum up. All that you have to do is find two different kinds of taxes for 2 different years. One tax is tax on salary plus advance payment, and other tax is tax just on the salary. Find the excess of tax on salary plus advance payment or over tax on normal salary for both those years, and eventually find the difference or find the excess of first previous year's excess over the advance payment previous year's excess, and that will be your relief. So this is part 1 computation. Now let's see how to compute part 2, or how to compute relief when the assessee receives gratuity. Now there are multiple steps involved here, and I'll just read through the steps for now for this slide, and the next slide I'll explain everything. Step 1. Find the total tax payable for the previous year on total income including gratuity. So find tax on salary plus additional payment. Here additional payment is gratuity. So find tax on salary plus gratuity for the relevant previous year. And after finding tax, so this tax is tax plus cess. Yeah, always when I say it's tax plus cess. Find the average rate of tax. I'll explain what average rate of tax is in the next slide. Only one F required here. Yeah. Next, what do we do? Find the tax payable for immediately preceding previous years 3 or 2 and total income with a portion of gratuity 1/3 or 1/2. Now, with regards to computing relief for gratuity, you categorize gratuity into 2. Based on the years the employee has worked. If the employee has worked for 15 plus years, computation is one kind. If the employee has only worked for 5 to 15 years, computation is a different kind. Now both the different kinds I've mentioned in the coming slide. Alright, so all that you have to do is find tax payable for immediately preceding previous years. So tax for immediately preceding previous years on total income with a portion of gratuity. So salary plus percentage of gratuity, not full gratuity, percentage of gratuity for preceding previous years. How many preceding previous years? 3 or 2. It can be preceding previous year 1 and preceding previous year 2 only, or it can be preceding previous year 1, preceding previous year 2 and preceding previous year 3. Alright. And for all these 3 years, find the average rates. For all these 3 years. And once you find these average rates, what you have to do is find the average of all these 3 years. So add these 3, divide by 3. Add the 2, divide by 2 as applicable. Alright, don't worry. If you are getting confused, don't worry. From the next slide, you will be completely clear with the concept. Alright. So yes, we find the average rate of tax on point 1 and we find average rate of tax on point 2. Once that's done, we take gratuity amount and apply the rate from step 1. That is average rate of tax from point 1. And next we take the gratuity amount and apply the rate from step 2, that is this average rate. The difference between the two, that is the excess of amount in step 3 and over step 4, will be your relief. So you'll get an amount here, let it be A. You'll get an amount here, let it be B. The excess of A over B will be your relief. I know you're a bit confused, but don't worry. Head to the next slide. You will understand it much better. So yes, let's check the next slide out. So step 1, I told you, take the relevant previous year, take total income including gratuity, find tax with cess, surcharge, whatever applicable, and find average rate of tax. What is average rate of tax? Take this total tax payable, that is tax after applying all the applicable provisions of rebate under section 87A or surcharge and marginal relief and cess. So find tax after all those things. Find its percentage on total income. So if this is B and this is A, average rate of tax will be B divided by A into 100. Alright, so you get an average rate of tax. Now here ends step 1. Now based on the years for which this party has been working for, this assessee has been working for, you have two different computations. So if the assessee has worked for 15 plus years, this is the table. If the assessee has only worked for 5 to 15 years, this is the table. If the assessee has not worked for at least 5 years, no relief. So let's say Mr. A, who has worked for 20 years in a company and still working, so he will fall under this category. So this will be the table applicable for Mr. A. Alright, so what to do? What you have to do is, say our current previous year is 2021. Yeah, that will be a relevant previous year. What you have to do is, we have to take preceding previous year 1, preceding previous year 2, preceding previous year 3. So take 1920, 1819 and 1780. Take the total incomes of all these 3 years. Yeah, and take the total gratuity that the assessee is receiving here, divided by 3 and split it equally to these 3 previous years. Say the total gratuity received was 12 lakhs. Divided by 3, we get 4 lakhs each. So 4 lakh here, 4 lakh here, 4 lakh here. Now compute tax on this plus this. So this is A1, total income is A1, 4 lakhs is A2, 1/3 of gratuity is A2. So A1 plus A2, whatever your total income is, plus your 1/3 gratuity. Find tax on that, and by tax I mean the tax after cess. Alright, tax after cess. You find the tax like that. Then finally find the average rate of tax, that is this triple X divided by not just A, divided by A1 plus A2. Alright, divided by A1 plus A2. So triple X, so sorry, not triple X, B divided by, bracket open, A1 plus A2 into 100. So B divided by A1 plus A2 into 100 will give your average rate of tax. Do that for all the 3 years. And finally, when you get all the average rates, calculate an average of those 3 rates. Say this is 13%, this comes to 13%, this comes to 14%, and this comes to 15%. So what will be your average? This will be 13 plus 14 plus 15 divided by 3. So 13 plus 14 plus 15 whole divided by 3. And what is that? That is 14%. Alright, that's it. Now all that you have to understand, when you go to a computation where the assessee has only worked for 5 to 15 years, say the assessee has worked, Mr. A has worked for 8 years, the only difference here is you do not take 3 previous years and you do not split gratuity into 3. You just take 2 previous years and split gratuity into 2. So gratuity is 12 lakhs here also. You split it into 2. So 6 lakhs each. So take just 2 preceding previous years and add gratuity in this manner. 6 lakhs to each of those previous year. Compute tax. Find average rate of tax. Again, here it's not B divided by A. It's B divided by A1 plus A2. Alright. Find average tax. And say this is 13 and this is 15. Your average rate will be 13 plus 15 divided by 2, that is 14. Alright, okay, let me just make this different. Let me just make this 16. 13 plus 16 by 2. Then your average rate will be 13 plus 16 gives you 29, so it will be 14.5%. So you found out the necessary average rates. So it's either going to be this table, or it's going to be this table. So you have this average rate, and this average rate, or this. Yeah. Now what we do is we formulate another table wherein we take gratuity. Our gratuity was 12 lakhs. Apply average rate of tax for relevant previous year. So 12 lakhs into average rate as we found in this table. Alright. Average rate of relevant previous year. Then what do we do? We take 12 lakhs into average rate of PPPs, preceding previous years. So, it will be either this or this depending upon the scenario. So, if the assessee has worked more than 15 years, it will be computation as per this table. If the assessee has worked for less than 15 years but more than 5 years, computation will be as per this table. Now, apply that rate, you will get two amounts. Excess of this over this will be your relief. So, find your total tax payable. Total tax payable as per this amount. So take that amount, that is your total income includes gratuity. Yeah, from that you have a relief in the section 89, that is as per this table. That will be your total tax liability. Clear, right? Pretty simple, right? So if you want me to give you a question where I show you how to solve this, do let me know. I'll give you an example. I'll post a video of an example as well in case you need that. Just all that you have to do is just ask. So with that said, I'm hoping you have understood everything with respect to relief under section 89. All that you have to remember is computation of relief is one method for general items and another method for gratuity alone. Yeah, for gratuity alone it's a completely different methodology, but for all the other items it is a very simple bare basic table, and that table is as we saw here. Yeah, pretty simple. But when gratuity comes to play, it is much more complicated and it will be based on three tables. Table number 1, this is table number 1, table number 1, table number 2 as applicable. One among these two will be table number 2, and table number 3 will be this one. So yes, that's it. I'm hoping you have understood this lesson very well. In case you have any doubts, please feel free to reach out. So closing this video, see you in my next one. Till then, take care, stay safe, and goodbye.